Welcome to this week's Dog Friendly podcast with the founder of Dog Friendly, Steve Bennett, and myself, James Waters.
The Doggy Podcast with Steve and James.
And this week, it's all about dog friendly accommodation. We're actually speaking to a reviewer for Dog Friendly magazine, Jo Southway. She's done quite a few magazine reviews for us and is also a dog behaviour expert. So she knows a little bit about taking dogs away.
But Steve, before we get Jo on,
what do you think when you think about all our members and readers who go away with their dogs and think about the accommodation they're going to be choosing? Is there something that stands out that's problematic for them?
Yeah, it tends to change over time, but certainly at the moment, the most commonly asked question is about the enclosed gardens, and going further than that, not just being enclosed, but how high are the fences, or what is the enclosure made of? So I know you've been working hard on it, James. We're now inviting and, in fact, encouraging partners to add that information onto their listing on the database, so that when members come and search for places around the country, they'll see straight away if there is an enclosed garden or not.
Yeah, I've seen that recently, actually, on when we do a post on our social media about somewhere and it says it's got enclosed gardens, and a lot of people say, how high is the fence? How enclosed? Is it escape proof for escapologist dogs?
Absolutely. And Lynn and I adopted greyhounds, and greyhounds can jump an awful lot higher than the two whippets we've got at the moment. Having said that, I have to say Charlie and Angel are pretty good at jumping, so I'd want to know that how high the fences were if we were travelling and going to visit a dog-friendly place.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. I'm going to welcome Jo now to tell us all about her trip to Lingsfield Cottages and more about dogs in general. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with dogs. But I know it's quite a history, so let's just say you've got 2 minutes to do it.
Yeah, no worries. So I am a force-free dog behaviourist. We run a behaviour company in Somerset, and we also offer other services. So we've got things like dog walking, pet sitting. We even do kind of wedding chaperoning for dogs. Pretty much, if it involves dogs, then we have it in our list of things that we offer. The other half of Pup, he is also a dog photographer. So I also help run that business as well. We kind of just do it all together. Our aim is to be inclusive for all dogs. So that's kind of our goal. We've got a very much kind of a force-free ethos where we work with dogs who have had lots of trauma. They might be really anxious, reactive, aggressive. That's kind of what we specialize in because we come from a rescue background. So I was running a rescue centre and involved in that for kind of 21 years before we started this business. So yeah, that's kind of, if it's got dog in the name, then we do it. And then on the side of that, we also run a charity which goes out finding missing dogs, cats, tortoises, even an emu once as well. So anything to do with
dogs, basically. And that's where it all started, with rescue dogs. And
absolutely.
Having dogs yourself when you were young.
Yeah, always had German Shepherds, and still do now. We've got 6 dogs between us, which means that we can pick and choose, especially when we're doing reviews, who we take with us and who gets some special time with their parents.
Okay, so when you say you've got 6 dogs, is that 6 dogs always with you?
Yes, yeah.
And why, Jo? Why would you do that? For those people who struggle with one small border terrier.
I mean, I ask myself that daily, to be fair. So most of our dogs are rescues. We had them when we ran the rescue. So they have quite specific needs. One of them is very dog reactive. One of them is very people reactive. They were dogs who were in rescue for years and couldn't be rehomed. And so, yeah, what do? You just take them home with you.
And is that your limit? Is that your limit? 6 dogs?
Absolutely, yeah. We want to lessen the numbers rather than add to them. We've got a couple who are getting on now. Nuka, my boy, he's my heart dog, bless him, love him to bits. He's found missing dogs and he does loads of the reviews, but he's 11 now, so we've just retired him from our stooge dog at work.
Which dog is this?
So that's Nuka. He's the husky shepherd with the very striking face in some of our reviews.
You've done quite few reviews for the magazine, and often you sort of take a couple of dogs with you. So it's a
Yes.
bit of a some of them get a holiday sometimes, and others assumably get left at home.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know very well from having quite a few dogs the challenges of getting dog friendly accommodation. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, completely. And it's that thing that we are very lucky with our dogs that we have dogs for specific needs, for want of a better term. So obviously as behaviourists, we've been able to train our dogs kind of how we want them to be. And so there's some dogs that we've worked really heavily on things like their recall. Some of them we've worked more on their sociability. So when we then do reviews, we can kind of choose the dogs that we think are going to be the most suitable. So if we want to do a reactive review, we can take a reactive dog.
yeah. And what sort of what's your kind of key features when you're looking for a place to review?
So for us, I think the fact that they've got secure gardens is always a massive one. More for the search and scan charity with the missing dogs, because obviously we know that dogs are more likely to go missing when they're in an unfamiliar environment. So that's a real biggie. Other than that, it's things like having tiled flooring where the dogs they can come in and you can clean them off and you're not panicking about muddy footprints all over a cream carpet. Because actually, as much as you want a holiday to fit for the dogs, things like that make things really stressful.
Yeah, and is this something when you're booking places you ask number of questions? We try and provide at dogfriendly.co.uk, we try and provide a lot of the information to help people make decisions about where they're going to stay. But is there specific questions are these specific questions you always ask directly to the owners or?
Yeah, so certainly normally from the photos you can tell that kind of thing with the tile flooring or whether they've got like an outdoor shower, things like that. But if you couldn't see it in the photos, I mean it's certainly something that I really like for owners to put in listings.
Yeah, okay. And things like because the things like paddocks are becoming much more common. People providing
Absolutely,
paddocks. Have you
yes.
found that? Places for the dog to run separately without.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good idea because it gives that space that actually you can let them off lead if there's nowhere around, especially if you're going to like a beachy area and you're going during those months where they're not allowed off the lead or they're not allowed on the beach at all during certain months. Having that kind of availability to let them run in an off lead paddock. We would usually kind of look up the local secure dog fields if there isn't somewhere on site.
Yeah,
So
okay.
even if they
So
could like list those, then that would be a bonus if they don't have them themselves.
yeah, okay. This so clear sort of pictures of what's on offer is we had recently somebody who said that they couldn't go somewhere because they wouldn't take their dog somewhere because it didn't have an enclosed garden and it was communal gardens. So is this something also that you would struggle to go somewhere that didn't have the enclosed garden?
Yes. So the review that we were talking about that didn't have a garden at all down at Linsfield. So they had lots of space, lots of land, and they did have a paddock, but they didn't have an enclosed garden. So for us, actually, that wasn't so bad because we had the reactive dogs on that review. And if our reactive ones are out in the garden, if there's not a completely secure fence, if they don't have that and they can see through it, if it's wire or anything like that, that causes us problems. So not having a garden wasn't an issue for us because it was actually easier to just pop them in the van, take them off site, or take them up to the field. So it all depends on the dogs, to be honest.
Jo, have you ever taken all six dogs away with you?
We haven't. No, we've taken how many have we taken in total? Four dogs away with us before.
And how did you find that? First finding the property, was it more difficult finding a
Yeah,
multi-dog property?
definitely more difficult. Although I'm very lucky compared to other people in that I live in the dog world. So it does make it easier because it's almost who you know. Because if they know you're a dog behaviourist, they got that kind of backup that your dogs are probably going to be okay. You're probably going to know what you're doing with them. You're not going to let them eat the house. So I guess compared to I say a normal person. I definitely don't class myself as a normal person. But yeah, compared to kind of everyday people, I guess we do have that thing that people are more likely to let us take more dogs, but then I think it's becoming more common. You see these Facebook groups, and there are now specific Facebook groups for multiple dogs, four or more.
Yeah.
I joined one just last week, I think. So I think they're realizing that actually there is a market, and a lot of people who love dogs are opening up places where they can, yeah, you can take as many as you want. And also with lots of behavior problems as well, it's becoming a lot more common.
Yeah, well, we're seeing that as well. I agree with you. And what about when you were there with the four dogs, finding places to go, the pubs, restaurants, days out, and
Um,
such like? Again, any problems?
no, pretty easy, but then there were three adults, so my mum was with us. So I guess that made it easier in the sense of like you could kind of have various people holding dogs, and if you needed to sit on a separate table with a couple of them, it was super simple. If it was a case of one person and four dogs, I think it would pretty much be, I say impossible, I'm sure people do it, it would be impossible for me because our dogs are really big. So I would not be taking four dogs if I was on my own, that's for sure.
So Lingsfield Cottages in the Lake District. This is a place you recently stayed at, and you've written a lovely review for us in the magazine. So tell us a little bit about why you chose the accommodation to stay at.
So we've been to the Lake District a few times before, so we absolutely love the area. Anywhere kind of rugged and full of nature gets our vote. And we wanted to find somewhere that we could take reactive dogs. So we wanted to take our two most reactive. We wanted it to be kind of out of the hustle and bustle of the Lake District, because obviously it's super touristy. But at the same time, be able to kind of dip in and out and experience all of that as well. So they were kind of on the edge, not too in the heart of things. And yeah, it was just a really good setup in terms of they had the dog paddock there, loads of walks right from the doorstep, which were in the middle of nowhere, really. So we kind of hoped, I think, that we wouldn't bump into anyone, which was the case. And we also did it in winter. So because one of the dogs we took, the reason we have him is because he was in rescue for 5 years. He had bitten previously. We haven't kind of trained him as such. We manage him. He was an older dog when we adopted him, and we work with his behaviors, and so we know that he's not going to want to be in kind of environments where he's meeting lots of strangers, having them walk into his space, etc. So for him, it's always very carefully chosen. And yeah, going in winter, obviously it's going to be a lot quieter in the Lake District. So all of those reasons, really.
Yeah, so it's almost a reactive dog holiday, isn't it?
Yeah,
And going
absolutely.
to a great place like the Lake District, but actually avoiding meeting, crossing a lot of people while you're there.
Yeah. Because the
Um,
Lake District is not somewhere where you would ever associate going with reactive dogs. And that's why I wanted to, I don't know, push the boundaries for want of a better
yeah,
term. Because it's
okay.
like, why shouldn't you be able to go there? Which is exactly what we're like with our business. It's trying to make it inclusive for all of our clients, because all of the dogs we work with have behavior problems, and we don't want them to miss out on things. So then obviously when we're trying things out, we want to make sure that we can find ways around being able to take all of these dogs.
Yeah. And is there walks from the door at Linksfield
Yes,
Cottages? And this
absolutely.
is
Yeah, everywhere.
okay. So this is something, again, something that we've recently introduced. Don't like to keep plugging what we do ourselves. And so when you look at accommodation listings, we've now included for people, for partners, to show where there's walks from the doors, because or direct walks, come out the door and you can go for a 5 mile walk.
Yeah.
Is that again a key feature for you when you look at places, or are you happy to drive to places?
We're very happy to drive. So certainly if like with the reactive ones, we quite often need to drive if we go somewhere that is busier. We've been places that are more touristy. And we know then that if we're going to do that and we're going to stay somewhere like that, that it will be a case of driving to get to quieter walks. So we're very happy to do that.
Okay, so it could be. It's all sort of like seems like a balance of various things, doesn't it?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, there's these ideals, but the ideals aren't necessarily the ideals for the certain types of dog. One place is ideal for certain dogs, but not so ideal for another.
Exactly. We did a review for you in Lynmouth, and we took our retriever with us who's super social, and my big boy that I was talking about earlier, Nuka, my husky shepherd, and that was very different. That was a town environment. But again, it suited those dogs. There was lots of people. It was a communal area for breakfast, etc. But yeah, we had the dogs who would have obviously who were great in that environment. So it just depends on the dogs you've got. For most people, they don't have the option to pick and choose their dogs like we do. My mum has the dogs we don't take, and it's a really nice. It's nice to be able to do it. It's nice to be able to take them away and them to have that kind of more one-on-one time or two-on-one time, for us, and they get special time with us. So yeah, other people just have the dogs they have in front of them, I guess.
Yeah, a bit of a shout out for mum there, looking
Yeah,
after dogs when
mum
you go
is
away.
amazing, bless her. Yeah.
Hopefully she likes dogs.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
Good. Any sort of highlights, doggy wise, from Linksfield Cottages?
Definitely the location. There they had the kind of thing I mentioned earlier about that tiled flooring and the ability to take them in when they're wet, etc. And have them kind of dry off in the hallway before you go into the main body of it. Also, an outdoor shower, again, really good. In terms of kind of the area, I mean, the Lake District is just the most amazing place. We did find in Keswick the Lake Road Brunch Cafe, and I have to give them a mention because I swear there's not a review I have done or a holiday we've done ourselves where we haven't found a more amazing cafe in the whole experience. Just everything from the food to the staff to how dog friendly they were. Yeah, that was just wicked. And Keswick itself, like we didn't take our dogs walking around the town. They sat in the van while we did a little shopping trip, for obvious reasons because of the dogs we took. But it's just so dog friendly. Every town in the Lake District, just yeah, every single shop. I know kind of when we do a review, there's always places that are dog friendly, but to find every single place that you go to is dog friendly, every cafe, every shop is just incredible. And the Lake District is it's just something else, I think, when it comes to dogs.
Joe, are there ever too many dogs?
I mean, not for me. That's what I do all day long. You could never, yeah, there's never too many dogs. I'm the person who works with dogs all day long, and then I walk along the street and see another dog and I'm running at it going, "Oh my God, how cute."
There's another dog. And overall, was the break a good value? Is this
Yeah, very
something?
good value. Yeah. So the accommodation itself, really good value for money. Lake District, really expensive in general. So I think obviously it's a touristy place, isn't it? So you're paying more for everything, the cafes, etc. We did notice that compared to other places we've been, the Lake District was an expensive place to kind of go out in, for want of a better term. But the accommodation was, yeah, it was really good value for money.
Okay, which I know is really important for people at the moment. So
God, yeah.
that sounds positive. So anything else coming up, Joe? Obviously, it will involve dogs, but have you got any places you're going, reviews that people who read the magazine might look forward to, or anywhere that you particularly thinking maybe we'll go and have a look at that next?
So I think the New Forest is somewhere we want to explore more. Certainly seeing some of the places down there and like driving past different dog friendly venues. We were looking them up, Googling them straight away. Oh my God, they do this and that. Which is what I do when I drive anywhere. So New Forest I think is going to be somewhere we explore. We always go to Wales and I love Wales. There's nowhere else in the world where you can stand and turn around and see the mountains and the sea, and the forests all in one view. So Wales is kind of our favourite, but we want to explore the New Forest more. It's a lot closer to us as well. And yeah, we've not kind of made the most of it yet. So I think that's certainly going to be somewhere we're looking to go.
Okay, perfect. So thank you very much, Jo, for coming on today and telling us about your break and about all the activities you do with dogs. It's really great being talking to you. And obviously, we really look forward to hearing more about your adventures in Dog Friendly magazine.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
All
Thanks,
right,
Jo.
thanks from Steve and myself, and listen to the next podcast.
The Doggy Podcast with Steve and James.